Hi, everybody. In this lecture, we're going to talk about the etiology of substance use disorders. And etiology refers to the combination of causes that contribute to the development of a disease or a disorder. And while it's never simple for most diseases, in the case of psychiatric disorders in general, and substance use disorders in particular, etiology is very complex. And we're going to talk about how a variety of different causal factors contribute. First of all, let's revisit that continuum of development that characterizes substance use disorders. They start with experimental, social, recreational use. They progress into regular and daily use or frequent binging. And finally, we come to the line is crossed into a substance use disorder. So what are the causes that contribute to the development of a substance use disorders? First of all, at a molecular level, we know that genetic factors can have a strong influence in the development of substance use disorders. And genetic factors depend on the circumstances in the environment as well as what the individual inherits. So it's often an interaction between genes and environment. And later in this course, we'll be talking more about both genetic factors and the neurobiological factors that contribute to substance use disorders. But for people in particular who have a vulnerability on the genetic side, we know that within the neurobiology of addiction, that the brain has neurotransmitters that control the rewards that people feel when they take a substance, whether it's nicotine or whether it's alcohol or opiates. And even behavioral disorders like gambling can produce changes in these neurotransmitters. So in some respects, a drug can trigger these things. In other respects, emotions and the environment can trigger the neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters that contribute to addictive disorders tend to reinforce the behavior. That means that when those pleasurable sensations are felt after the neurotransmitter starts producing, it allows the person or encourages the person to repeat the behavior. There are also psychological factors: rebelliousness, feelings of inferiority, aggressiveness, desire to escape from reality, and stress in the environment can all contribute to the development of a substance use disorder. Other psychological factors are things like a person's mood changes in response to a drug, particularly pleasurable mood changes, and the expectancies that they learn from their environment. So what people are taught by the culture or by advertising or by movies often gets incorporated into the way they think about a substance, and they expect to get a certain effect. Sociocultural factors can also contribute. And in the case of alcohol, in many societies, it's totally ingrained with the culture, like heavy wine consumption in France or Spain and Italy, or the availability of alcohol or cannabis in societies where kids grow up to expect that everyone is going to use it. So social factors also play a role in the etiology. Family factors and social networks can contribute, particularly social influence. So all of these things interact, and we can't develop a theory of etiology based on any one of them. Often it's a combination of different factors. And some of our best etiological models like the one proposed by Kenny Scher, which is called deviance proneness, bring in a variety of different factors, like the regulation of people's feeling states or affect, whether it's seeking positive effects or trying to avoid negative effects by taking a drug to relieve depression. And putting all this together, we also have psychiatric disorders, and they tend to co-occur with substance use disorders with a high frequency. So there are etiological models that say that some people develop a substance use disorder because they're medicating some underlying psychiatric disorder like anxiety or depression, or that substance use disorders have a causal effect on substance use by increasing a person's vulnerability. And in some cases, personality factors like impulsiveness can contribute to the development of a substance use disorder. So putting it all together, we've got familial factors that are linked to genetics. We have personality factors like conduct disorder and antisocial personality disorder, which contribute to the regulation of negative mood states and positive mood states. And when they are combined with conduct problems and a person's inability to control their behavior, which is called behavior under control, we tend to have an early onset of substance use disorders and also a more severe course. So in conclusion, there are multiple interacting factors that contribute to the development of a person's ability to control their substance use. And not everybody who uses a substance is going to develop a substance use disorder. And it's the people with the greater number of these vulnerability factors who tend to progress into the more severe forms of substance use disorder, particularly personality factors, genetic vulnerability, and when that's combined to a conducive environment, you have a perfect storm of people being vulnerable to a substance use disorder.